34 relationship retreats later, and I can tell you exactly why some couples grow together and others drift apart. In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through why we started doing a quarterly relationship retreat, why we continue to do it, and it's the first thing that we put on our calendars, plus the high-level process that you and your significant other can use too, that we've refined over the years. And it's actually a wild story that all started by accident. Hey, I'm Jennifer Hudye Moscow. I've built 3 7-figure businesses before 30. Over the last 9 years, I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs create a vivid vision for their life and business so they can live a life of intention that blows their damn mind. Okay, story time. My now husband, Alex, and I, we were 6 months into dating. We went to Santa Barbara for his birthday, which was near the end of the year. Even before we started dating, I would do my own solo end-of-year retreats where I would go somewhere and I would reflect on my year and I would plan and envision my upcoming year and would take myself through this process. And since we were already there for his birthday, I asked him if he wanted to stay a couple extra days and go through my process with me. And he was in, which was an immediate like, oh my gosh, I think this guy is meant for me. And so we ended up staying a couple days later. We reflected on our year, our relationship. We planned our upcoming year, shared our visions with each other, aligned on what the next year was about. And I remember this distinct moment where we were at this restaurant along the pier in Santa Barbara, and we're both journaling, and we would pause and share with each other. And I'm just like, this is amazing. And by the end of it, we felt more connected, aligned, supportive of each other because we knew what the upcoming year was about for both of us together and each other. I saw another couple, actually a friend of mine, Dan Martell, and his wife, Renee, where they shared online that they did a quarterly relationship retreat, and I was super inspired. And so I shared the post with Alex and I was like, do you want to make this a quarterly? And he's like, I'm in. And so every quarter now for the last 8.5 years, we haven't missed one. We retreat for 2.5 days, just the two of us. And it's the most valuable days of my quarter, hands down. We've had many people over the years ask us about this process, so curious, and even say like, do you do workshops or do you have a course or do you have a method on this? And we haven't decided to roll anything out around it yet, but I am curious. If you are watching this and you're like, I'm so intrigued, just post in the comments, let me know if you would be interested in a workshop or course or training on how we do this at a much deeper level. In this episode, I'm gonna walk you through our high-level relationship retreat structure. So we found for us 2.5 to 3 days is a sweet spot. We do a weekend, and sometimes we travel, but other times we don't. There's been quarters where we've gone to Sedona, we've gone to Hawaii, we've gone to North Carolina, we've gone to San Diego. But the last few years, we've been loving doing them at our home because we love our home. It has all of our preferences there, our favorite pillows, our bed, our sauna, and all that. And sometimes it's fun to adventure, but we've found that we still get the most juice out of the squeeze when it comes to the process by even doing it at home. But one really important thing that we've gotten from getting it wrong is making sure that the weekend is only dedicated to the retreat and that we're not adding in other elements or events or commitments or even people to it. It's really dedicated to the two of us. For example, one time we went to Michigan and we had a speaking engagement where the both of us were co-leading our Vision Amplifier breathwork. And so we're like, let's combine this with our quarterly relationship retreat. And it did not go over well. We were both so overwhelmed because we were trying to manage being at this event and prepping for the event and our talks while also trying to do our process. I'll never forget on the flight back from that retreat or speaking engagement, we're both like, okay, we need to do an experience transformer on this process of why it didn't work. And then we gave ourselves permission to do a do-over. And we said, we ended up scheduling like 2 weekends after, and we're like, we're going to redo this again. So learning lesson, keep it to the retreat itself. And we have themes for the days. So day 1 is all around fun. We found that it's important to transition into the quarterly relationship retreat because some quarters are awesome and we come in and we're celebrating. We're like, that was amazing. So much momentum. Other times it's rough, and we're like skidding in and we're like, holy shit, what a ride. How are you? How am I? What the heck just happened? And so we need that first day to just reconnect, have fun. Sometimes we go to a show. We're in Sedona. We went on like a long hike, maybe a dinner, kayaking, but just something that puts us into like, okay, this is a little vacay, a little retreat, and that's also aligned to our intention and our theme for the quarter. So we set a theme for each quarter. Day 2 is all around reflecting on our past quarter, individually, but also as a couple. And I have a really specific process that I've developed on this for myself and my clients that I work with. And so we work that process every single quarter. And it's really designed to harvest the wins and the lessons and really reflect on the last quarter. If you've been in a long-term relationship, you've probably found that if you don't have a space or a place to have bigger conversations, sometimes they don't happen, right? Because life is just lifing. And maybe you're like, hey, there's this big thing that I want to talk about, but I don't know where to put it. And of course, you can ask your partner to block some time to have those higher level conversations. But one of the things I love about our quarterly relationship retreat is it is a dedicated time for us to go into some bigger, higher level conversations around our relationship and around our future, and know that we have this space to have those discussions. And then day 3 is all around planning and aligning on the future. So we actually have a relationship vivid vision. So with my company, we help both companies, individuals, and couples with designing their relationship vivid vision. And so we sit down and we look at our 3-year vivid vision, which paints a picture of what we want our lives and our relationship to look and feel like 3 years out, as if it's already happened. And we're like, okay, are we on track or off track based on this last quarter? And then we also ask, how can we support each other towards our own individual visions based on everything that's going on and this upcoming quarter? And this is so helpful for us because sometimes what we're both focused on individually is a little bit different per quarter, but then when we have voiced it and we know it and we can align on it. Not only, for example, one quarter I was prioritizing, community and friendships a little bit more, and my husband was much more focused on business. And so we would get certain invitations for different friends events, and I knew how I could support him best in focusing on his business priorities. Whereas that quarter I happened to be focusing more on more like community friendships, but we could have those discussions and make sure that we're both feeling supported in what we're focused on. And on the flip side, there's been quarters where I've been much more focused on business and my husband, say, on community and friendships. And so when invites would come, he would know, hey, I'm going to make sure to protect Jennifer's time and be okay with maybe me not attending certain things because of my focus. And I think one of the areas where couples can kind of get stuck is not knowing what the priorities are for each person and the relationship itself in this specific season. And so then there's an assumption, I assume that this is what's the priority, and then there's a friction if it hasn't been clearly communicated. So this is the place where we align on the same page, and we also align calendars. So we both have a lot going on, and we have a shared calendar, but we'll make sure everything is added there, and also make sure that our relationship is getting the fuel and the food it needs with different date nights. And we also do a weekly relationship check-in as well. But in this quarterly relationship retreat, each day we move, we work out, we do something that's nourishing. Maybe it's go on a walk or a hike. We eat great food that's really healthy and nourishing. And it's designed to connect and have those higher level conversations that sometimes there isn't space dedicated to in our day-to-day lives. And the result has been extraordinary. That's why we keep doing it. That's why it's literally the first thing that gets added to our calendars. I put in our calendars 2 years in advance because I want to make sure that I'm protecting that time. And it helps me remember what life is all about. It always makes me more in love with him and feel deeply connected to him. And so I highly recommend it. I think it's one of the most powerful things that you can do as a couple, and especially a couple that's, has full lives, to remember to keep coming back to each other again and again. So I'm curious, is this something that you're interested in doing with your significant other? If so, put it in the comments. Also share this with them. This could be a beautiful model that you have a discussion around. We've learned after many years that we've modified it over time to our relationship and what works best for us, which may be different than what works for your relationship. And that's okay, but find that sweet spot to where you look forward to it and that you make sure to get the value and nurture and pour into your relationship. I hope you loved this. If so, go ahead and comment and like below. Also subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.